Was Michael Jackson hiding something deeper than fame, fortune, and global success? Most people remember the moonwalk, the music, and the madness of fame. But behind the spotlight was a man deeply connected to something far more powerful: spirit. This isn't the part of Michael the media love to talk about. It's not flashy, it's not scandalous, but it's real. And it shaped everything he created. From his earliest days as a child star to his final moments preparing for This Is It, Michael Jackson was constantly seeking something beyond the material world. Not just religion, but spiritual truth. A connection to the divine, the soul, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And once you understand that side of him, you'll start to see his music, his actions, and even his pain in a completely different way. Because the king of pop didn't just want to entertain the world, he wanted to heal it. And he believed that healing had to start from within. Childhood roots of faith. Before the fame, before the moonwalk, before Thriller, Michael Jackson was just a quiet boy from Gary, Indiana, raised in a strict Jehovah's Witness household. His mother, Catherine, was deeply religious, and faith played a central role in the Jackson home. As a kid, Michael wasn't just learning dance moves. He was studying the Bible, attending meetings, and even going door to door, just like every other witness. Yes, even during the height of his fame, he'd disguise himself in sunglasses and go out knocking on doors with a Bible in hand. Imagine that. The biggest superstar in the world, trying to spread faith like a humble servant. But as Michael's fame exploded, so did the tension with the church. They didn't approve of his performances, his dancing, or even the Thriller music video. That backlash cut deep. Eventually, in the late 80s, Michael made a painful choice. He left the religion he grew up in, but he never stopped searching. In fact, leaving the church wasn't the end of his spiritual journey. It was just the beginning. A search beyond religion. After stepping away from the Jehovah's Witness faith, Michael didn't lose his spirituality. He expanded it. He didn't tie himself to one religion anymore. Instead, he began exploring beliefs from around the world. Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Hinduism, Kabbalah. MJ studied them all, not as a trend, but as a sincere search for truth. Michael often said he believed in all religions because they all taught the same thing at their core: love, compassion, and healing. He read spiritual books, quoted religious texts in interviews, and filled his home with sacred symbols from different cultures. To him, the message was universal: we are all one. This wasn't about fame or image, it was personal. Michael believed that there was something greater guiding him, a divine source that gave him his music, his creativity, and his mission. He wasn't just making records, he was channeling something higher. And the more you listen to his words, not just his lyrics, but his interviews and speeches, the more you'll realize Michael wasn't trying to look spiritual, he was spiritual. Spiritual messages in his music. Michael didn't need to preach on a stage to share his beliefs. He embedded them in his music. His songs weren't just hits. Many were deeply spiritual messages wrapped in melody. Think about it. Earth Song, Heal the World, Will You Be There, Man in the Mirror. These weren't just about chart success. They were about change. They were about healing, awakening, and human responsibility. In Man in the Mirror, he challenged us to look within. In Heal the World, he asked us to rise above hate and care for each other. And in Earth Song, he mourned the damage we've done to the planet and begged us to listen before it's too late. To Michael, music wasn't just entertainment, it was his way of communicating something bigger, something divine. He once said that when he wrote music, he felt like it wasn't coming from him. It was being given to him. That's how deeply connected he felt to a higher source. Every note, every word, it meant something. And for those who really listened, the message was clear. Michael's music was a form of prayer, meditation, energy, and the soul. Michael Jackson didn't just talk about spirituality. He lived it behind the scenes. He was deeply into meditation, energy work, and visualization. When he was preparing for a performance or creating music, he often described it as a spiritual download, like the ideas were coming from a higher place. He believed in the power of energy, not just physical, but emotional and spiritual. Michael talked about how thoughts carry vibration, how love is the most powerful force, and how creativity connects us to the divine. Before concerts, he'd meditate in silence. He visualized not just the show, but the energy he wanted to give the audience: healing, unity, inspiration. To him, it wasn't just about entertaining, it was about elevating people's souls. He often said, "God is in my music," and when he danced, when he sang, when he lost himself on stage, he felt free. He felt connected to something that words couldn't fully explain. Michael didn't see himself as a pop star. He saw himself as a vessel. And that's why so many fans say his presence felt otherworldly, because maybe it was. His obsession with innocence and purity. One of the most misunderstood parts of Michael Jackson's life was his deep connection to innocence, especially the innocence of children. To the media, it was strange. To Michael, it was spiritual. He believed children were the closest thing to God, untouched by hate, greed, or ego. They represented purity, honesty, and unconditional love, things he felt the world had lost. Being around that energy wasn't about playtime. For Michael, it was about healing. He often said he saw himself in children, a soul that never got to grow up normally, a heart that still longed for love without judgment. In their presence, he felt safe. He felt real. It's no coincidence that themes of innocence, purity, and love show up in so many of his songs and performances. He believed the world could be better, if we could return to that childlike state of compassion and wonder. But the world misunderstood him. They mocked it. They twisted it. They saw weirdness where there was only light. And yet, Michael never stopped believing in that purity. Because in his eyes, innocence wasn't weakness. It was sacred. Final years. A man preparing for peace. As the world watched Michael Jackson plan his final comeback with This Is It, something deeper was happening behind the scenes. He wasn't just preparing for a tour. He was preparing for closure. In interviews, private conversations, and even handwritten notes, Michael seemed more reflective than ever. He talked about legacy, healing the world, and leaving something meaningful behind. Some say he looked tired. Others say he looked at peace. He was talking more about forgiveness, about unity, about God. He seemed less focused on fame, and more focused on what comes after. Those closest to him say he was finally beginning to let go, not of life, but of the pain, the pressure, the years of carrying the world's expectations. Even This Is It felt spiritual. The songs he chose, the message behind them, the energy he wanted to leave fans with. It wasn't just a show, it was a final statement. Some believe he knew his time was short, and whether he did or not, one thing was clear. Michael Jackson was looking for peace, not in the world, but within himself. The deeper truth. Michael Jackson wasn't just chasing fame, he was chasing something higher. Behind the awards, the controversy, and the chaos was a man searching for peace, purpose, and a connection to the divine. His music wasn't just made for charts, it was made for hearts. He used his voice to uplift, to heal, and to wake people up. He believed his gift came from God, and that it was his duty to use it for good. He wasn't perfect, he was human, but spiritually, he was on a journey most people never even start. And maybe that's why his legacy still lives on, not just in sound, but in spirit. Because when you really look past the noise, you'll see that Michael Jackson didn't just want to change the world, he wanted to heal it. And maybe, just maybe, that's why we still feel him, so many years later. If this side of Michael moved you, share this video. Let the world remember the soul behind the spotlight. Drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe for more untold stories of the king. Because Michael Jackson wasn't just a legend, he was a light.